All right, today we're going to play a fun game called Let's Cut the Floor Out for Mini Tubs. I've got my instructions over here and my templates already cut out, and let's go through this. And if you've been following along with my videos, you'll know that I've already completed steps 1 through 6 here. We'll move on to step 7. Now the instructions say place the template on the trunk floor so it fits snug against the radius of the factory inner tub. Well, I don't have an inner tub anymore. So what I did is I just used masking tape and kind of made an edge there for that. So I got to fit this template up there next to that and then scribe the back edge and the side edge and then move on to the next step. Okay, I put my template up into place here where I liked it. I held it down with magnets, and then to get a nice edge to scribe next to, I laid a straight edge over here next to it like so, and then I could scribe right along the side of that square and get a perfect line. Let's pull that off there and see what we got. Okay, here are my scribe lines. Got one here, and I've got a couple there, but the one farthest that way is the one that I want. Now I just need to lay this over here so that this edge is right along that line and the back edge here is still along this line, and that allows you to parallel shift this curvature over 2 3/4 inches. Let's set that up there. Okay, I've got this set up here. I unfolded the little tab there to give me a flange to weld to later, and I can just double check this and make sure that I'm 2 3/4 inches, and yeah, I think I'm right on the money there. So I can scribe this guy and have it ready to cut. Okay, I scribed around that curve there, and I scribed around the flange. I went over it with a silver marker so that maybe you could see a little bit better. I also lied to you whenever I said I didn't have the inner wheel tub. I still do. I clamped it up into place there, and I'll use it for the next step, which happens to be getting out the trusty dividers, setting them to 2 3/4 inches, and then scribing all the rest of the way around that inner wheel tub. Let's do that. Okay, I scribed the rest of the way around this inner wheel tub all the way to the front here. I highlighted this part in silver because that part's going to actually be cut off, but over here you want a flange. So where this is in gold marker, we've actually got to come inside that and cut it, and that'll be the bend line for the flange to attach our mini tub to. Set the calipers here to 2 inches, and we'll come in here and scribe another line, and that will be the actual cut line. So let's do that. Okay, I came in and scribed that line, went over it with silver marker so you can see, and that's going to be where we're going to cut, is all along that silver marker line over there and then up and around. That again is going to be the bend line for the flange. Let's go back to the instructions, see what's up next. So up next, we've done that. Hey, that looks kind of familiar, right? Next is cut out the seat back braces, but I'm not using the Detroit speed up or shock mount, so I'm going to leave that in place. This stuff here I've done that. I've already got the wheel tub out, so I've done that. Done it. Okay, now I guess we start cutting. Let's do that. Now, before I get gung-ho and start cutting, I went ahead and read the rest of the instructions here, and there's the bottom of the frame rail that's got to be contended with, and you've got to measure 14 1/4 inches up from that spring hanger in the back, and use the other little template along the bottom side of the frame rail. If we take a look over here, I've already done that. Measured it out and stuck that guy up there with the magnets. Now I just need to scribe around this part here, and then I'll have it all marked out to be cut. Okay, I scribed around that template, and then pulled the template off, and then I put masking tape here. I like to cut around masking tape because then I know exactly where my line is, and I can typically tell how far over the line I am if I do get over the line. Anyway, now let's start cutting. Well, that wasn't quite as much fun as I'd hoped it would be, but I got it all cut out of there. So far so good. I've still got a little bit of trimming to do. Trimming as well as grinding this back, bending the flange here, test fit some closeouts, and see what I've got. But so far, so good. It's cut out of there. Let's keep trucking. Okay, I bent the flange there. I bent the flange in the back. I also cut out some of this piece in here. I think it's time to test fit the tub. Let's throw that in there and see how it looks. Okay, got her clamped up in here. She's looking okay. Had to bend that flange there back to get it to go in there, which is part of the instructions. It's looking okay. Let's go over it. In the front here, it's looking pretty good. All along that seam there, looks okay. A little gappy here in this corner, right there, but that's to be expected. You're fitting a square round peg and a square hole, but a little hammer work will get that fixed up. Let's go take a look at the issues. Issue number one, she's a little short back here. Should be hanging down over that flange. Instead, it's up a little short. Issue number two, there is a pretty good sized gap all around this corner. You take a look in there. Yeah, that's the floor down there. That's no good. The closeout plate should cover some of this gap, but I may have to weld a piece in there. Here you can see how it's a little short there, and then as well the gap in between the two flanges there. Those will all need to be fixed, so I got to figure out how I want to do that. Let's think about it. Here's a quick glimpse from the underside. You can see there's where that frame rail's cut, and there's that big gap. A couple ways that I guess I could go about this. I could split that mini tub there and push it out and get it to match up to this. Option two is whenever I use that closeout plate, have it come and follow the contour of the mini tub, and then just weld a piece between the frame rail and the closeout plate down around up in the top there. This bottom edge I can probably just get right in here, so then I've just got a pie piece that ends up in there. However, then I still have to cut this mini tub here to get this flange to fit tight, as well as probably weld a piece to the bottom of it to extend it down to cover that flange there. I'm going to think about this for a minute. I figure a good place to start is with this closeout plate. I've kind of cut it to the length here, and I can have it tight here and then have it follow that mini tub over here, and then I've just got this little pie piece to put in there. I'm gonna throw that mini tub back in there and see how it fits. All right, mini tub's back in there, and yeah, I don't think manipulating that closeout plate's gonna really solve my issue, because I'm still gonna have a 1/2 inch of trunk floor that I'll have to fill in here anyway. I think the best course of action is going to be to split this tub, and then I can pull it out and get it to line up with what I've cut out here. And let's do that. All right, I split that, and yeah, I think this is the right course of action. I think that's going to work just fine. I'm going to close up this gap, get it nice and tight, and then just weld that up. Just like I've got to do over here to eliminate the gap between these two flanges. Anyway, I'm going to play with this a little bit, pull it off there, and then I'll probably start work on the closeout plates, because I can go ahead and get those fit up there and in place, and I think we'll be good to go, rock and roll. Okay, I got this closeout panel here fit up there. I like it. I think it looks good. Now I want to move on to this guy here. I'm having a bit of an issue. The instructions indicate that you extend the trunk floor edge onto the steel template. So I assume this the edge of the trunk floor here needs to extend kind of over the template. And that's fine and dandy. There's my template set up there. I trimmed it back just a little bit so that it would kind of follow the contours of that trunk floor a little bit. However, it indicates drilling plug weld holes, so that you can plug weld it along the frame rail flange. See this row of plug welds right down here? Those, I imagine, go along this edge here. However, if you take a look, this frame rail edge is, you know, an inch inboard of the edge of the trunk floor, which is where it needs to be to hold that, to provide a flange for that wheel tub to weld to. I assume there was a brace piece here that folded up. I assume that on most people's floor pans, this extends all the way out to the edge here. Mine, however, here it is. Here's the cutoff piece. It curved straight up. That's awesome. It curved straight up here, and you see there's no way for me to get plug welds, holes, along this edge unless I build this edge out. I've got to think about this. Okay, after looking at this for a bit and scratching my head and trimming on it and looking at YouTube videos and stuff like that, I've come up with a course of action. Joe Daddy's Garage here on YouTube has done this, and what he did is he took this piece that was on there. Mine goes this way. He cut this off. Well, he didn't cut it where I cut it. He cut it up above that and then bent it down so it formed a flange here, and just welded that closeout piece to it. And I like that. I thought that was a brilliant way of doing this. However, I've cut mine off. So what my plan is going to be, kind of similar, is I'm going to take a piece of 1/8 inch flat steel and I'm going to weld it to the edge of that frame rail. Give me just a second. I'm going to take this 1/8 inch flat steel and cut it kind of to size a little bit. Like it's 2 inches wide now. It only needs to be about 1 inch here, and then trail off to nothingness up in here. Cut this down a little bit and weld it to this frame rail flange, and so that I've got a nice flat lip, and then I can weld this piece right over that, and it'll close this out real nice, clean it up, make it look good. Okay, I got that little piece cut, little triangle piece there. It sits flush with the edge of the trunk floor here and tapers off to nothingness here, which again is flush with the edge of the trunk floor. So I should be able to weld that up there and then come in with that closeout plate and just kind of close up this hole and be a happy dude. Let's do that. Okay, I got that piece welded in there. It's looking real good. I also welded it up here on the top where there was a double layer of the metal. Make it nice and strong in there. I also tacked in this back closeout plate. I want to test fit the mini tub in there just to make sure there are no issues before I proceed. Okay, mini tub's test fit back up in there. Splitting this here has allowed this side here to move over enough that I can clamp it without having to split along that flange there like I had planned to do. It also allows it to dip down a little bit as you pull that over. The bottom of it comes down, and I no longer have the gap between the trunk floor and the mini tub there, and it's fitting pretty good. Up along the side, I like it. I like the way it's looking. I'll go ahead and make up that closeout plate. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Let's do that. Now, DSE gives you these templates that you can cut out to mark for the plug welds along here. I don't really like that idea. I don't like the idea that this closeout plate hangs down below the frame rail, and I don't know. It just doesn't look right to me. So what I actually want to do is I want to come just inside of this with that closeout plate. So I want to make a really accurate template here. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking masking tape and I'm going over this area with a couple layers. I've got one layer on there now going this way, and I'll do another layer going that way, and then that should make a really nice template. I can just go along, cut it out to size, and pull it off there, transfer it to metal, and have a perfect piece to go in there. After I get it taped up here real good, I go over it with a block of wood and just transfer the line all along the piece. And then I can cut it out. And voila, I've got an accurate template of the inside perimeter of that guy. So let's transfer that to steel, cut it out, and see how it fits. And the template is self-adhesive to the steel, so you don't have to worry about it coming off while you're cutting it. Okay, after a little fine tuning on the grinding wheel here, it's fitting up in there perfect. So I'll hit the back side of it with some melt-through primer, and then I can start welding it into place. And she's all welded in there. Looks real good. I'm real happy with it. A little quality time with the grinder will have this nice and smooth. I also welded in this closeout panel here, It's looking real good. I like it. A little quality time with the grinder. I want to weld this guy shut as well. This is where I had that trunk floor ear cut off to get the floor in. So close that guy up, as well as weld a tab in here that just kind of curves around, follows the curvature of that mini tub. Same thing up here. I cut this off because that's where the trunk floor and the main floor overlap, and I thought it'd make an ugly bend, so I just cut it off there. I should have left it, so I'll weld a tab on there. Clean this up, and then I'll be ready to do final fitment on that mini tub. Let's get to it. Okay, after a little quality time with the grinder, I got that all smoothed up. Welded tab on here, looks nice. Smoothed that guy all up, put a tab in here. Yeah, I think we're ready for final test fitment of that guy. Let's do it. Okay, got the mini tub clamped up in here, and she's looking pretty good. I went around and marked out where the flanges are, where the backing is, and there is no backing. This is why Detroit Speed wants you to extend this closeout plate down below the frame rail flange, is so that you've got backing in here and in here to weld your mini tub to. This is less than 2 inches, so I'm not worried about it. This guy here, I can do a little plug weld into the frame rail flange trunk floor where it's thin there, as well as I could weld it from the other side. And I like how nice and clean this area looks now instead of having this ugly flange hanging down. I'll be welding up this guy kind of after I get the plug welds kind of done, so that I don't have to worry about it being too short or too long. I marked around both sides of the flanges, both on that side and on this side, so I know exactly where to put my plug weld holes. I can pull this off of here, drill it out for plug welds, coat it all in weld through primer, and have it ready to weld up there. Let's do that. Okay, I got the mini tub over here on the bench. I used this little punch to punch all the holes, all the ones that I could reach with it anyway. There were a couple in here that I couldn't quite reach, but way faster than drilling. Worked out awesome. I'm gonna hit these surface rusty spots with the clean and strip disc, clean those up real good, and then give this a coat of weld through primer on all the weld surfaces. And then I've also got to coat this with weld through primer. Then I can slap it up there and weld her in. Let's do that. Okay, getting her welded in here. She's looking pretty good. Some of my welds are kind of ugly, and that's because I made a mistake. Typically, whenever I use the weld through primer, I like to prime it up and then rub it off anywhere that I'm actually going to be welding, like around these plug weld holes. Well, I got in a hurry, got excited, and I forgot to do that. And that's causing me to have to turn my welder up enough to burn through the weld through primer. And that's causing me to burn through the 18 gauge mini tub in certain places. So I'll show you this side here. So that's just causing a bit more work, just having to come back and grind down my welds and touch them up a little bit. But she's getting in there. She's looking pretty good. I've got a few in here welded up. I've just got to do that back end and the front edge over here and get that all welded up and be done. Let's get going. Okay, I've got most of the plug welds all done. They'll need to be ground. You can see how dirty and ugly that is due to that weld through primer. But if I took my time, my weld turned out not too bad. Like, some of these are pretty decent. Just take my time and do a little bit at a time and don't heat it up too much. Now I'm going to work on this cut that I made here. I made a little, working on a template with masking tape there. I'll cut this out, transfer it to a piece of steel, and cut that out, see what I got. Okay, I cut out a little sliver of steel there, and now I can start tacking it in and manipulating it as I go to make sure that it fits up there nice and even. Let's do that. Okay, I got that piece all welded in there. It's looking pretty good. I also folded over this flange over here and welded it up. It's looking real good. Show you the back side of this real quick. There she is. It's all done up. I might come back and do a little touch up on it. I see it's got some low spots there, but yeah, that's the mini tub. That's the passenger side. All done up and ready to go. Next I'll move on to the driver's side, but I'll do that in the next video. Anyway, cheers. Have a good one.